this week, we spoke about a man who bombed a Wisconsin Planned Parenthood, and Fox 11's Mark Leland was fortunate enough to speak to the gentleman who did so. Okay, and you know, he totally admits guilt, which is interesting, but he also wants to make a clarification. Let's watch.
Francis.
Yes, I burnt the place down.
You said you wanted to plead guilty today. Why?
Why? Because I am guilty. I am guilty.
Why did you plant the bomb there?
There was no bomb, it was gasoline.
Francis Grady made his initial appearance in Green Bay's federal court. He is charged with maliciously and intentionally damaging the Planned Parenthood clinic in Grand Chute. The criminal complaint shows there was not a bomb. Rather, police say Grady used a hammer to break a window and poured gasoline from a plastic bottle to start the fire.
And why did you do it?
Because they're killing babies there.
Because they're killing babies there.
So there we have it. Guy admitting that he's a domestic terrorist. He disagrees with their ideology, and hence he wanted to burn the place down in his own words right there. And he says, I'm guilty. And the number of people who have called him terrorists in the media, I believe, is one. I believe it's us.
Yes,
okay.
You're completely correct
now,
about that.
some blogs have actually started picking this up on our side and saying, hey, you know what? Young Turks are making a pretty good point here. Can you imagine if, as I said on the current show, if a Muslim did this, and they said, well, as they were originally reporting, it's just a homemade bomb, right? And no, well, you know, it's okay. He was just trying to burn down the place for his ideology that Sharia law should run the United States. So obviously it's not terrorism. Wait a minute, why wouldn't that be terrorism? And why isn't this terrorism? Of course it's terrorism.
And look at how defiant and nonchalant he is about the entire situation. He's like, yeah, I'm guilty. I took a hammer, I poured gasoline, and I tried to light the place on fire. They kill babies.
Yeah, and the FBI, to their credit, has, you know, pursued this aggressively, but they've only charged them with arson and one other minor offense.
Arson and intentionally damaging a building.
Yeah, that's it. Intentionally damaging a building.
Yeah.
That's like graffiti, intentionally damaging a building.
Maliciously and intentionally damaging the Planned Parenthood clinic.
Okay, so now here's what they should be charging him with. Terrorism and attempted murder. Now, if somebody breaks the glass in my house, pours gasoline and lights the thing on fire, he's trying to kill me. Okay, you got your kids in there? And what, you're not going to charge that guy with attempted murder? Oh, he was just damaging the building? No, he was lighting the place on fire because he wanted to terrorize you. He's a terrorist, doing it for an ideology, and he should be called as such, and it should definitely be attempted murder.
Now, he faces up to 21 years in prison. And
here's
also,
what he should face, up to life in prison. Yeah. Okay, are we having a conversation with Muslim terrorists that are in Guantanamo Bay about, well, maybe they were just trying to intentionally damage the World Trade Center? You know, that's not the charge, okay? The charge is much more severe. Now, in the case of the World Trade Center, of course, we had a lot more deaths. There's no question. In this case, thank God we didn't have any deaths, okay? So I get that there's an enormous difference in severity. But the guy's intent was to burn the place down, and if anybody was in there, they would burn down with the building. That was his intent, okay? And the 9/11 is not the only terrorism charges in the country. There's, you know, whenever anybody attempts anything, you know how many guys they've arrested in this country? Remember the guys in Buffalo, the Buffalo Six, and then countless others, where they hadn't even done the act yet. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't charge them because they were conspiring to commit an act, right? Where they would damage a building, right? Among other things. And those guys are charged with terrorism and face life sentences. This guy actually did the act and says on camera, yeah, I wanted to burn the building down because I hate their, what they do. Well, you know, he might face 21 years if the damaging the building and then the arson charge is bad enough.